So let's talk about the Targaryens. Now, the Targaryens always maintained their power and order through fear. Yes, initially, dragons and, the sheer power of them was used to conquer the Seven Kingdoms, but later the dragons became more of a symbol. We don't need to necessarily come and attack you with a dragon. Just knowing that we have dragons, the threat is enough to keep the peace and keep order. And then later on, after the Dance of the Dragons, when all the dragons were pretty much finished, wildfire was used as, the threat. They're basically saying we may not have dragons anymore, but we have this highly potent super chemical that could do a lot of damage. The only thing that burns hotter than wildfire is dragonfire. In A Clash of Kings, after the battle, that fire is burning for days. Now, the only reason that Tyrion and Cersei were able to get so much wildfire commissioned in such a short period of time is because spells that the alchemists knew that never worked were working again. And that's not the only magic that's suddenly come back since around the time of Dany's dragons. Now, some people think that it's Dany's dragons that brought magic back to the world, but in my opinion, it's more likely the comet, because the comet shows up before the dragons. The comet brought the dragons, not the other way around. So a reoccurring thing in A Clash of Kings is that there are all these magical things that are suddenly more powerful. So, back to the Targaryens. It seems that the death of the dragons, however, is directly correlated to the loss of magic. It is said that magic began to leave the world when the dragons died. And just like magic leaving the world, the respect for the Targaryens kind of diminished over time. Because, initially people looked at them as more like gods than normal people. I mean, they didn't look like normal people. They've got like silver hair and purple eyes, and they can ride dragons and control dragons, and they come from a strange, far-off land, and they've got all these weird customs. So the Targaryens can get away with way more stuff because they're kind of looked at as like more than human. But then later on, people start to realize that they're just people, and they don't got dragons anymore, and they don't really got wildfire anymore. That's why during the rebellion, Robert was able to get so many people to rebel, because the Targaryens, they're not gods, they're regular, normal people. So basically what I'm trying to say is, how much longer are we going to pretend that Daenerys Targaryen is not a religious figure? If she's not a religious figure now, she's going to become one. Look at the way this story is set up. She is the savior of thousands of people. She is immune to fire, and I know she's not actually immune to fire in the books, but that doesn't matter. All that matters is that she survived that pyre and people saw it. And, there were dragons there. The first dragons in over 100 years. No one living has ever seen a dragon before, and she has them. When all of those people dying of the bloody pucks were outside of Meereen, Daenerys walked herself outside of the city into a crowd of highly contagious people and laid hands on them, touched the sick and dying. A queen. What queen throughout history has ever done anything like that? That's so New Testament Jesus. It screams New Testament Jesus. She's the first person that anyone has ever seen riding a dragon. She flew off on a dragon, and everybody saw it that time. So everybody sees her riding a dragon, and everyone's gonna think that she's dead. But no, she shall return. We know it's coming because we know Martin isn't just gonna kill off Daenerys before the prophecies are fulfilled. It just doesn't make narrative sense. And then you've got everybody calling her Misa, mother, that has so many religious connotations. So, fast forward time 5,000 years. 5,000 years after A Song of Ice and Fire ends in that universe. Do you think people are going to remember the truth? Do you think people are actually going to remember what happened, that she was just a woman? Is that all that there's going to be? Or do you think people are going to remember the comet in the sky and remember that that was around the time that this girl with dragons came along? And do you think that the people that are descended from all the slaves that she freed aren't going to have legends about her? Because to them, she was more than human. And it's something that they can't explain. Because that's the way people are. People always want something to worship. And when humanity is in times of stress, they want something to look to and seek for answers. What's better than Misa, this legendary figure? Because that's what Daenerys is. And I've said this so many times. This character just screams myth throughout the entire series, basically. And then I always point to that scene in the beginning of A Feast for Crows, where they're all telling stories about this legend of the Targaryen princess that's supposed to be dead from across the narrow sea. And they're all telling different stories, and they seem to be contradicting each other. But no, they don't realize that all this actually happened. Yes, she conquered Astapor. Yes, she conquered Yunkai. Yes, she conquered Meereen. Yes, she has 3 dragons. It's all true. It's often one person that changes the entire course of history. I've been reading a lot of Dune, the books by Frank Herbert, and it has a lot of similar ideas with, Paul Atreides being viewed as a god. He liberates the Fremen of Dune from the Empire, basically, and thousands and thousands of years later, the name Atreides is still known. He is still a religious figure, and the entire course of history would be completely different if not for that one figure, the Khisatz Haderach of Dune. And don't ask me what that means. Watch my video, The Bene Gesserit of Dune. But rambling aside, I can't help but think that 5,000 years after A Song of Ice and Fire ends, that those people are gonna look back and say, the Red Comet heralded the coming of Daenerys Targaryen, our savior, the Misa, the mother of dragons, and then she'll just be the god of that area. She has all the makings of a god. She has the mystery. She has the magic. She looks super exotic, and she stands out where she is. She just chills with dragons, these vicious, ferocious monsters like they're cats. And I think this idea that Daenerys will be viewed as a god is going to intensify in the Winds of Winter. And this is not just because of what happened in Game of Thrones Season 6, but kind of because when she kills the cows and all the people bow before her underneath the Mother of Mountains, that is actually a prophecy from A Clash of Kings. The Undying one, they show her that in the House of the Undying. And she sees that the crones bow before her beneath the Mother of Mountains. To me, that seemed like that scene. So why would the crones be bowing before Daenerys Targaryen? If Season 6 is in the indicator, it's something pretty amazing and intense. So what do you guys think about this? Do you think Daenerys Targaryen is the Khisatz Haderach of the East? Let me know what you guys think. And make sure you like and subscribe for more ideas of Ice and Fire.